Welcome to the Analytic and Photorealistic Visualization Video 1 of 2. This video will concentrate on the analytic visualization. We're going to use the same file that we've been working with, but if you have a different one, you can opt to do that too, as long as you have a file that has a room that we can work with, that has a window view. You can use either the schematic design modeling that we created or the sustainable design. We'll go to level 1, and then we need to turn off our mass. If you have it on, you can type in VG and take the check mark out of mass and pick OK. Also, we're going to select the level 1 floor and change the floor type in the type selector to generic 12-inch. And then if you see any other elements like the edge of this curtain wall system, you can select it and go to hide in view and pick category. Then we're going to create a series of walls. You can decide to design your own wall system, but use the generic 6-inch wall and change the height to level 2. You can follow along with this system, wall system, or you can create your own, as long as you end up with a room that has a view outside through the curtain wall system or a large window. We started with a hexagon shape, but you may have started with the circle. So what we'll end up with is something like this. So go ahead and pause the video and finish your walls and doors, and at least one room should have an exterior open window or curtain wall system. Next, we're going to select the wall storefront so that we can create a wall that has a window to look through the conference room that we'll be creating. We'll draw it right on top of the other generic wall that we created. And then save your file as the appropriate assignment for this module with your name in the file. If you haven't done it already, we're going to pause the video, save to your computer the Revit file posted in Blackboard called C12 Visualization, and then open it so that we can get one of the families from that file. We'll open it right on top of this one, and then go to the Level 1 Phase 1 Proposed View. Highlight the conference room and then see that it's group 3. In the project browser, we're going to highlight group 3, right click and pick copy to clipboard. Then we'll use Alt Tab to go back to our drawing and go to the Modify tab and pick Paste. You may get a dialog box that says that there's some duplicating types. Go ahead and pick OK. Then in the project browser, you can hold your left mouse button down on group 3 that's under the families and drag and drop that conference table and chairs group to our drawing. Then select that group and rotate it as appropriate for your drawing. And hold your left mouse button down on it to drag it over into place. We're going to load several families so that we can create a room with furniture and lights. We'll go to Insert and pick Load Family, and then in the Furniture folder we'll load a few things like the Corbu chair and the table, the coffee table, and shelving. And then we'll go to the lighting fixtures and load one of the recessed downlights, the can, and a floor lamp and a pendant light, the linear one, and a sconce light, the uprights. You can hold your control key down to select more than one to load. You can pause the video to bring these components into your file and rotate them into place. We're going to go to the View tab and create a section so that we can place decals or images on this wall. Double click on that section and then crop the view. We're going to be placing images, and to give you a preview of what we're going to be doing, this is the way that it will look. So you can pause the video and decide on your 4 images or decals that you're going to bring in to this room. So I had to change my wall sconces to the uprights, but you can go ahead and go to the Insert tab and go to Decal and Decal Types. Then, like duplicating, pick here at the bottom left and then pick OK and create a name for your image. I'll just use New Decal and then pick OK. And then at the top right, pick that icon with the 3 little dots, then navigate over to your images, select one, and you can change the view to thumbnails if you need to, and then pick Open or double click, and then pick the Duplicate button again or New Decal button again, and then we'll use New Decal 2 and go through the same steps to create a new decal name and then load your image. Once you have all 4 of them created, you can go ahead and pick OK. Now we can go to Decal and Place Decal. In the options bar, you have choices for changing the width and the height and locking the proportions. We'll go ahead and place these images on your wall as decals. Once you select one, you can use the type selector to change the decals to the other ones that you created. Then you can change your visual display to realistic to see the images. Going back to our level 1 floor plan, we can even move the section so that when we go double click back into the section view, you can change how much of the information is shown in your section. Going back to the floor plan, we're going to change our visual display to shaded and see that it makes for a nice graphic representation. We'll go back to the hidden line and then go to the west view. In the west view, we're going to create a callout so that we can look at one level in 3D. we'll go to the View tab, select Callout, and then create a callout just around the first level of the west elevation. And then back in the 3D view, we can right click and pick Duplicate and duplicate that view, and then double click on the copy of the view, right click and pick Rename. Rename this copy of the 3D view as 3D Phase Filter. It says filter, but later on I'll rename it as Phase Filter, and then pick OK. And then in that 3D view, we're going to rest our pointer on the view cube, right click and go to Orient to View and over to Elevation, and you'll see that call out of West. When you select that call out of West, it will automatically crop it with the section box in 3D. You can then select the section box and use these grips to bring that view below the floor line so that you can see inside level 1. And then use the view cube to go to the isometric view by selecting the corner. The section box will crop the view so that you can see inside the level 1 floor plan in an isometric view. Use the view cube to find the best angle, or hold your shift key down and the wheel of the mouse. Right click on that view and duplicate it again, and then rename that view 3D VG filter. We're going to create a filter that's a phase filter, which can be associated to any view, and we're also going to create a filter in the visibility graphics dialog box, which is specific to this view. So we can then double click on the phase 3D phase filter view, and let's take a look at phase filters. Go to the Manage tab and pick the Phase button. In this phasing dialog box, we're going to go to the Phase Filter tab and pick New, and then rename that new filter name to Abstract. And because we want to see it in the new and the existing, we're going to change new and existing to Overridden and Demolished and Temporary to Not Displayed. Then we'll go to the Graphic Overrides tab, and for the new and existing, we're going to change the material. Select here that small icon that's inside the material column so that we can go to the material list and duplicate this material, calling it Abstract. Pick OK, and then go to the Appearance tab, and we're going to change that material called Abstract to Ceramic, and scroll down and find the 1-inch ivory, square ivory, similar to the example in the book, but you can see the potential for all the different materials that we can assign. We're going to also change the finish to matte, and then pick OK. And now change the material for new and existing to abstract. And then pick OK. It's not applied yet. In Properties, we can change our filter at the bottom right corner to Abstract and then pick Apply. You won't see it completely until we render. If we take the check mark out of section box in Properties and pick Apply, we'll lose our crop. So I'll undo that, and then the way to turn off the crop lines is to go to type in VG, go to the annotation categories, and take the check mark out of section box and pick OK. Then we'll go to the teacup icon at the bottom left under Visual Styles to pick up Rendering. In the Rendering dialog box, we'll change the quality to medium. We'll use exterior sun only. We'll go into the sun settings and change the time to 1 o'clock p.m. to get better shadows under the still setting. And then in this drop down, we'll pick color under background style and change the color by clicking on the color bar there to black. And then pick Render. It will come out a little bit brighter, so we'll go ahead and pick Adjust Exposure in the Rendering dialog box there. And this is where you can start to take a look at what happens when you change the range from brighter to darker for any one of these settings. We have highlights and exposure values, the shadows you can make darker and brighter, and every time that you change these you can pick Apply to see that when you change the highlights to brighter you get kind of a wash, but making some of them lower you can create a rendering that looks more like a model. You can change the white point to warmer and even change the saturation from kind of a grayish color to the warmer colors that will be brown. It's up to you if you'd like to use the gray as opposed to here the more brown color for your model. Go ahead and apply your rendering and then pick OK. In the rendering dialog box, we are going to save it to the project. Pick Save to Project and name this rendering Abstract Rendering. Pick OK and then show the model. Your abstract rendering will end up in the project browser under Renderings. Let's go now to the 3D VG filter and take a look at the Filter tab in the Visual Graphics Overrides dialog box. We're going to go ahead and turn off our section box, and then in this dialog box pick Filters, and then pick here Edit New. Here we can create a new filter at the bottom left and call it Sustainable Design. We're going to be able to filter out with one or several categories all of the sustainable design elements based on a filter of parameters. So here we've created a new filter. Now we're putting check marks in whatever elements we want to filter, and then we're going to filter it by these parameters. And these parameters are based on parameters that are in the instant properties or the type properties. You can even create your own parameters. in the book, there's an example for a rated wall. And to keep it simple, we're going to go ahead and use comments. The comments are going to equal, and then I'm just going to type in here green. So anytime I type in green, when I either place an element or select it and change it in properties, this filter will pick it up. Go ahead and pick OK, and then pick the Add button and highlight Sustainable Design and pick OK. So there's our filter. Now what do we want to do with the filter? We're going to change the cut patterns. We'll change the color to kind of a green color and the pattern to solid fill for both the surfaces and the cut planes. So when we use this filter, we'll be able to see all of the objects that are sustainable design based on the comment green. So now we can select a wall, and in the properties, under comments, I'll type in green and pick apply. And you'll see that the filter will show that sustainable design element in green. Let's change our graphic display options by going to Visual Styles and picking Graphic Display Options. We can now change the lighting to sunlight from the top right. Instead of a specific time, you can pick in front of lighting and pick sunlight from the top right or sunlight from the top left. And then other controls that we have here are the sun and shadow intensities. You can brighten up the image by using more sun intensity or darker shadows. We do have ambient light that kind of diffuses the light, and also you can put a check mark and show ambient shadows to get kind of a soft shadow appearance. We're going to take the check mark out of show ambient shadows and adjust the shadows to what might look good in the presentation, but you can see all the different possibilities here with those visual displays. We can then go back to VG and the annotation categories and turn our section box on so that we can take a look at the poche and cropping this view. So with the section box on, let's go ahead and crop it, and then we're going to change our detail level to coarse. You can see the default blue solid fill that appears at all of the cut planes. In the Properties palette, select Edit Type and then pick Poche and change the color to black, making for a nice graphic display. The green wall will still be green at the cut planes because we created a filter that was a green solid color. Now we can go back to VG in the annotation category and turn off our section box. We're going to duplicate the 3D view, and then that copy of the 3D view we're going to rename as 3D section, so that I can show you that in the 3D section view we can rest our pointer on the view cube, right click, go to Orient to View Section, and pick up the section. change your visual display to realistic and your detail level to coarse so that you can actually see the poche that we established as being black, making for a nice presentation without rendering. Continue with photorealistic visualization in video 2.